Okay, so for this one, we're going to combine spelling and reading together because spelling is page 102. Sorry, I have my book out for spelling. Spelling is page 102, which is proofreading and then writing the word correctly at the bottom. Okay, so you're going to proofread this paragraph. It says, Kayla wrote the beginning of her report to the class about her group's project. Find and circle 4 spelling words that are spelled wrong, then write each word correctly. So you're going to be finding the word that's spelled wrong and spell it correctly down here. So circle and then write it correctly. This, you do not have to do this. You're not going to write a report on your own. If we were in the classroom, you would have already written an animal report because we did ants and that's what we do. So, but because we're not in the classroom, you're not going to write a report. I'm not going to do that to you or your parents or me. So that is spelling. So for reading, you're going to need your reading book. You're going to need your practice book, and you're going to need a pencil. And we're going to do this together. So you're going to open up your practice book to page 95. It looks like that. Okay, we're going to write down steps to making recipes, what they do, how they make them, and you're going to open up your reading book to page 157. So I think we'll read it through first, and then we'll go back and write the steps for the practice book page. Okay, Jalepeno Bagels by Natasha Wing. She's the author, she wrote it, and the illustrator is Robert Casilla. Turn the page. What should I bring to school on Monday for International Day? I asked my mother. My teacher told us to bring something from our culture. You can bring a treat from the Panderia, she suggests. Panderia is what Mama calls our bakery. Help us bake on Sunday, then you can pick out whatever you want. It's a deal, I tell her. I like helping at the bakery. It's warm there, and everything smells so good. And I apologize for pronunciations. Early Sunday morning, when it is still dark, my mother wakes me up. Pablo, it's time to go to work, she says. We walk down the street to the bakery. My father turns on the lights. My mother turns on the ovens. She gets out the pans and the ingredients for pan dulce. Pan dulce is Mexican sweetbread. I help my mother mix and knead the dough. She shapes rolls and loaves of bread and slides them into the oven. People tell her she makes the best pan dulce in town. Maybe I'll bring pan dulce to school, I tell her. Turn the page. Next, we make empanada de calabaza, pumpkin turnovers. I'm in charge of spooning the pumpkin filling. Mama folds the dough in half and presses the edges with a fork. She bakes them until they are flaky and golden brown. Some customers come to our bakery just for her turnovers. Turn the page. Maybe I'll bring empanadas de calabaza instead. You'll figure it out, she says. Ready to make chingo bars? Mama lets me pour in the chocolate chips and nuts. When she's not looking, I pour in more chocolate chips. I could bring chango bars. They're my favorite dessert. Mine too, says Mama. This batch should be especially good. I put in extra chocolate chips. So, which treats has Pablo thought about taking to school so far? The pan dulce, the empanadas de calabaza, and the chango bars. My mom used to make something called chango bars. They were just cookie bars, magic cookie bars, she called them. Instead of making chocolate chip cookies, she just put them in a pan, a jelly roll pan, and baked them and then chopped them up. They were good. I like chocolate chip cookies better though. How does Pablo make the chango bars? How does he help to make them? He puts in the chips and the nuts, right? He adds the chocolate chips. Why do you think the illustrator shows the cooked chango bars up close on page 165? Why do you think that they show us what it looks like? Good. So we can be a little more familiar. They're kind of like brownies maybe, but they're like cookies instead of brownies. Okay, so you can be a little more familiar with what Chango bars are and if you've never heard of them. Okay, let's turn the page. My father calls from the back room. Pablo, come help me with the bagels. Papa speaks English and Yiddish. He learned Yiddish from his family in New York City. I know some words too. Bubby means grandmother. He uses my Bubby's recipe to make the bagels. First, he makes the dough in a big metal bowl. Then he rolls it out into a long rope shape. He cuts off pieces and shows me how to connect the ends in a circle. We put the circles on trays where they sit and rise. Remember how I told you they have bread rise so it's fluffy inside? You've ever had a bagel? Kind of like doughy inside, right? Turn the page. While we are waiting, my father makes challah, Jewish braided bread. I know that doesn't look like the word challah, but CH is pronounced H in Yiddish or, Yiddish, Hebrew. He lets me practice braiding challah dough at my own counter. It's a lot like braiding hair. The customers say it is almost too beautiful to eat. Maybe I'll bring a loaf of challah to school, I tell Papa. He smiles. When the bagel dough has risen, he boils the bagels in a huge pot of water and fishes them out with a long slotted spoon. So do you know what a slotted spoon is? Have you ever seen the big spoon in your kitchen maybe that's got holes in it? Well, that's a slotted spoon. It's so that you can take things out of water without getting up all the water also. You just get what you want out of the water. I sprinkle on poppy seeds and sesame seeds, and then they go in the oven. Maybe I could bring sesame seed bagels with cream cheese. No lox? Lox is smoked salmon. My father's favorite bagel is pumpernickel with a smear of cream cheese and lox. And I know the schmear doesn't have an SH sound, but that's how you pronounce it. I crinkle my nose. Lox tastes like fish. Jam is better. Well, lox tastes like fish because lox is fish. Salmon is fish. Okay, turn the page. My mother joins us and helps my father make another batch of bagels, jalapeno bagels. My parents use their own special recipe. While Papa kneads the dough, Mama chops the jalapeno chilies. She tosses them into the dough and adds dry red peppers. We roll, cut, make circles, and let them rise. I can't wait until they are done because I am getting hungry. They almost look like Christmas bagels, don't they? Okay, turn the page. Have you decided what you're going to bring to school? Asks Mama. It's hard to choose. Everything is so good, I tell her. I look at Papa, except for lox. You should decide before we open, warns Mama, or else our customers will buy everything up. I walk past all the sweetbreads, Chango bars, and bagels. I think about my mother and my father and all the different things they make in the bakery. So why do you suppose the author has Papa say that the customers will buy everything up? Because in something like this, the customer is going to come first because they need to make money, right? They're not doing this just so he can bring things to school. He needs to choose now so that they can set it aside because if they can sell it, they're going to sell it. What does Pablo do to help him make his decision? Good. He walks past. He thinks about everything that they make. Okay, let's turn the page. And suddenly I know exactly what I'm going to bring. Jalapeno bagels, I tell my parents, and I'll spread them with cream cheese and jam. Why jalapeno bagels? Asks Papa. Because they are a mixture of both of you, just like me. So what treat does Pablo decide to bring? Get jalapeno bagels with cream cheese and jam. I don't know what kind of jam you'd put on jalapeno bagels. I would think, I don't know, a sweet jam on a jalapeno bagel? I don't know. Anyways, that's him. Why are Mama and Papa probably pleased with Pablo's choice? Because it's their own special recipe. Very good. And it does represent both of them. So then you have the recipe for the Chango bars. It says, these recipes are from a real Mexican Jewish American bakery, Los Bagels Bakery and Cafe in Arcata, California. Kids should ask grown-ups for help with both recipes. So if you do want to make these recipes and you do have the ingredients, you have your book at home, you can do it. This is usually when I let the kids bring the book at home over the weekend so they can make the recipes or write the recipes down if they want to do that. But you're lucky. You have the book at home until the end of the year, end of the school year, so you can make them anytime you want. So there's Chango bars. And they're a lot like chocolate chip cookies, but in a bar form. And then if you turn the page, you get jalapeno bagels. And it says, for this recipe, you'll need lots of time, but bagels are worth the wait. But being stuck at home, what more do we have but time, right? So go ahead and make the jalapeno bagels. Or if you don't want to put jalapenos in the bagels, you can put cinnamon or raisins. I know some of you are going, raisins. Chocolate chips, blueberries, whatever you have, right? You can add anything to a bagel mixture and make a bagel, just like you could add anything to brownies or cookies and make it also. You just add a little extra ingredient in there. Okay, so let's turn to page 160 because we're going to write down the directions on what Mama does to make pan dulce. So then we'll get our book out and let's read 160 again. Early Sunday morning, when it is still dark, my mother wakes me up. Pablo, it's time to go to work, she says. We walk down the street to the bakery. My father turns on the lights. My mother turns on the ovens. She gets out the pans and ingredients for pan dulce. Pan dulce is Mexican sweetbread. I help my mother mix and knead the dough. She shapes the rolls and loaves of bread and slides them into the oven. People tell her she makes the best pan dulce in town. Maybe I'll bring pan dulce to school, I tell her. Okay, so when we're looking at how we do it, we're going to look at that second to last paragraph. I help my mother mix and knead the dough. So the first thing he does is mix and knead the dough. So this does not need to be in, these are more like command sentences, okay? So you do need to capitalize and you do need a period at the end, but you don't need a subject. So mix and knead. Knead is when, remember how I said it's kind of like massaging? Knead the dough. And we already know what dough is, right? Dough is the mixture for bread before it's baked. Then what do we do? What does she do? I help my mom mix and knead the dough. She shapes rolls and loaves of bread. Okay, so shape rolls, and loaves of bread. Remember, it doesn't need to be a complete sentence, or it is a complete sentence, but it's a command sentence. And the last thing she does is slides them into the oven. So put them in the oven. Put into the oven. Put into the oven. Okay? So now we'll look at the pumpkin turnovers, page 163. Next, we make empanadas de calabaza, pumpkin turnovers. I'm in charge of spooning the pumpkin filling. Mama folds the dough in half and presses the edges with a fork. She bakes them until they are flaky and golden brown. Some customers come to our bakery just for her turnovers. So first thing is he spoons the filling, right? Spoon in pumpkin filling. Spoon in pumpkin filling. Then folds the dough in half. Folds the dough in half. Then presses the edges with a fork. Presses the edges with a fork. She does that so that as it bakes, it connects the two edges together and they won't open up, because bread, these things rise, dough rises. And so when she does that, it won't open. You close pies that way also. When your pie has a top like an apple pie or a blueberry pie, you press the edges around the pie pan to close the pie up. And then the last thing she does is bake until golden brown and flaky. Flaky is important. Bake until flaky and golden brown. Okay, then our last one is steps to make the bagels. So let's turn to 166. My father calls me from the back room. Pablo, come help me with the bagels. Papa speaks English and Yiddish. He learned Yiddish from his family in New York City. I know some words too. Bubby means grandmother. He uses my Bubby's recipe to make the bagels. First, he makes the dough in a big metal bowl. So first they make the dough. Then he rolls it out into a long rope shape. So then roll it into a long rope shape. He cuts off pieces and shows me how to connect the ends in a circle. So cut off pieces. And connect the ends. In a circle. That's a long one. I didn't totally go on there. We need all of them, so don't go on number 4. Just go right below it. We put the circles on trays where we let them sit and rise. So then put circles on trays to rise. Put circles on trays to rise. Now I think we need to turn the page to 169. When the bagel dough has risen, he boils the bagels in a huge pot of water and fishes them out with long slotted spoon. So boils the bagels in water. And that's what gives the bagels that chewy texture. When you bite into a bagel and it's chewy, that's why, because they let it rise and they boil it before they bake it. Sprinkle on poppy seeds and sesame seeds. So sprinkle on poppy and sesame seeds. Poppy seeds are the little black seeds that are usually with like lemon, poppy muffins, things like that. And the sesame seeds are the white seeds that you see on hamburger buns sometimes. And then last thing is bake in the oven. And that is the end of reading. Gosh, is that wonderful? It's a good story, right? I like the story because it's a mixture of two cultures. It's what this world is about, what this country's about, right? Our country is a mixed of bunch of cultures, and this family is what our country is about. So, have fun making chango bars and bagels if you choose to do that. And let me see if you do. Take pictures if you do. That'd be fun. So, we'll see you in a little bit.